welcome back to another edition of Spike, Kathy, and Sarcasm. We are on episode 7, and I am Chris.
And I'm Van.
I just have to tell you that, I have to tell you that as I was getting ready to record this, Van, your picture froze on my Skype.
Yeah.
And you were sitting there making this funky looking, just blah face, and now it's frozen again. So hopefully we're still connected.
I can hear you, so that's good. Too bad you can't see me because I'm making a very funny face at you.
That's always a positive.
Oh my gosh.
I can hear you too.
I just think it's funny when you start out the show because you did this weird thing before we started. We always wait a couple seconds before we start talking when we start to record an episode. And you did like this funky like countdown thing. And I was like, what the hell are we doing? This isn't how we've done it before. And then you were like, oh, just one. Start recording. I was like, okay. It was just not what we normally do. But okay, we went with it. So that's why I'm laughing.
Because the overthinker in me overthinks way too much. And I have this friend at work who has nothing ever bothers him. He is just whatever kind of guy. Nothing bothers him. And he posted this thing on my Facebook page that said something about I stress about stress even though I don't need to stress about things that aren't even stressful. And it was just really funny. I said, it's really sad when your coworkers know you that well. This guy knows he has me pegged.
I'm the same way. I'm an overthinker too, so I know.
Not as bad as me, my girl. Not as bad as me. I think I could hold the award for the worst overthinker.
I don't know. I think maybe we are. I think we're pretty neck and neck, is what I think. So.
You think?
Anyway, what are we talking about today?
Well, today's episode we are going to talk about TV shows and movies that have had an impact, either new or older, or any TV shows that have had an impact. And when we first started, when we decided to do this topic in my first, research part of it, I was thinking about like shows here and now, but there are a lot of shows like from when we were from when we were younger that when I think about them, I mean, shows that I watched that were like TV shows that just brought back so many great memories from, way back in the, not so much now, but.
They already know how old we are, Chris. We gave it away. They already know how old we are. We gave it away in episode 1, so we don't need to hide anything.
Okay, so anyway, So you go ahead first. Tell me about what episodes not episodes, but what shows or TV shows or movies had an impact when you were growing up?
Well,
any of them.
The first one that came to my mind from back in the day was Growing Pains, because I was a huge Kirk Cameron fan. I had Kirk Cameron posters from, wall to wall. Before it was New Kids, it was Kirk Cameron and Ricky Schroeder and from Silver Spoons and like all those. Silver Spoons, remember that one? So, I thought of Growing Pains first, and then I couldn't really think of anything else. Like nothing. Well, Punky Brewster came to my mind too. And I don't really know why that one came to my mind. I watched it. I remember watching it, but I don't know why that came to my head. But anyway, so I went to Google and I started Googling 80s TV shows, and then I remembered Family Ties, which was one of my very favorite shows because I adore Michael J. Fox, and Saved by the Bell and Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Full House, The Wonder Years, all those. I was like, oh my gosh, I forgot about those. Oh, and then there was Alf. Why this show?
Of course.
Why this show? Yes, why this show was ever made, I will never know, because it had to be the dumbest premise for a show ever. I mean, an alien from was it Melmac? Melmac? Was that the name of it?
Melmac.
Yeah. That ate cats. Didn't he eat cats? That was his favorite thing to do. He ate cats. And it was just the strangest thing, but it was so... I had an Alf doll. I had a stuffed Alf at one point. I think I got it for Christmas or something. But I look back on it now and I'm like, really? We thought this was funny? Because this is not. This is cheesy. But in the same token, every show from back then, if you watch them now, they are cheesy. Like, they are just... But I will still watch episodes of Growing Pains, Family Ties, Fresh Prince, all that stuff. I'll watch them over and over and over again because that is my childhood. And it brings me back to that time of, you know, when you didn't have any cares in the world and you weren't adulting and life was just easy. So those are some of the ones that I remember. And, you know, it's funny because I now, in my household, we have Netflix, and every episode of all 10 seasons of Friends are on Netflix. And my son and I, my 10-year-old and I, we will sit and we could watch Friends all day long. I have seen every episode of all 10 seasons. I can't even tell you how many times. And when I'm done with the final season of, or the final episode of season 10, I'll start it all over again. And I fall asleep to it. I turn it on when I'm watching or cleaning house. But, you know, I went back and looked at the dates that was popular, and it was like 1994 to 2004. I don't remember watching Friends when it was popular on TV. Like, I was with my ex-husband. I met him in 1994. But I don't remember watching Friends like on a weekly basis, you know, like it came on Thursday nights or whatever it was. I don't remember. But now I make Friends references all the time, and we do it. We say things in our house all the time. I know every episode, so it's just strange. I realized that. Another show that I watched back in the day, and I remember watching this weekly, was ER. Did you ever watch ER?
Oh my gosh!
Remember that one too?
Noah Wyle.
Yes.
And George Clooney.
Yes. And I tell you what, every episode of all 15 seasons of that show is now currently on Hulu. And I have been watching them. Yes, it is so awesome. You should have seen me when I found out they were on Hulu. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to get anything done ever again because there's 15 seasons of this show. And I love it. And that's what I've been watching a lot lately.
Okay, so I do like Grey's Anatomy. I like it less after McDreamy died. But ER was one of my absolute... I love that show. That was like the first show of its kind that came out when Noah Wyle was just getting big and George Clooney. Oh yeah, I don't have Hulu, but I do have I have internet TV, so I can still go and look for those. I am definitely going to be looking up ER because that is one of those shows I could binge watch.
Oh, for sure, and it's funny to watch those shows back because it was early 90s. There are so many stars on that show that you see them, they have bit parts, and you see them on the screen, you're like, oh my gosh, they were so young and just starting out, and they're on ER, and it's so funny. It's so funny to see it. But anyway, okay, so were there any that I named from back in the day that you didn't have on your list, or that I didn't say that you have on your list? I don't think I said that right, but you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. Actually, the biggest one for me was Growing Pains as well. I was a big-time Growing Pains fan. And I love Kirk Cameron just like you. I watched every single episode. I loved Alan Thicke, but I definitely love Kirk Cameron. And it surprises me when you go back and look at the reruns. Just like you said, they're cheesy and they're just silly. Like, you look at them and think, why did I love this so much? But Leo DiCaprio was in it when he was just a baby. I mean, Wow. But a lot of my impacted shows were, like, the shows that I remember watching weren't necessarily TV. But I did love ER. I did love, Growing Pains. I did love Silver Spoons and Benson. I don't know why I watch Benson all the time, but I love that show.
And Webster. Do you remember Webster?
Webster, yes, and Different Strokes.
Different Strokes, yeah.
And what was the one with the girls in the boarding school?
Oh, Facts of Life. Facts of Life. Oh my gosh.
Facts of Life, yes. That was one of my favorites too.
Do you remember how obsessed I was with Nancy McKeon? She played Jo on Family Ties.
Yep.
Or not Family Ties, I'm sorry. Facts of Life.
Facts of Life.
I was so obsessed. I wanted to be Nancy McKeon. I wanted that. She was my inspiration. I was going to be an actress. I wrote a letter to her. I got a postcard back, which was one of those that were pre-printed. She just, they put her signature on it, whatever. But man, I was doing a dance in my driveway when I checked the mail that day and got that. Oh man, I forgot about that show. Oh, I loved that show so much. Wow. That's so cool.
That was it. That was really a good, and some of them, they had great lessons, they all did. But then there were the shows that were like, like Melrose Place or 90210. Those were huge, huge shows for me. And you know what I realized the other day? The other day we were talking about the old 90210, Beverly Hills 90210. And, how they had Brenda and Brandon. They were the twins. The brother and sister, and then they also had, Ian Ziering was, I forgot what his, Steve. His name was Steve. Then they had Dylan, and they had all these. I just realized that two of my kids' names are Brandon and Dylan.
Oh
and
my gosh!
And that wasn't because of that. It wasn't because I had, because of that show. That wasn't the reason why. It was just because. I don't know. But how ironic that there would be a Brandon and a Dylan in the show that I grew up in. So those were funny. Some shows. But then there were movies, like movies that, remember like License to Drive with Corey Haim and Corey Feldman. I love the Feldmans. I love the Coreys.
The Coreys. Yeah.
The Feldmans.
Yeah.
Goonies was one of my favorite, even though Corey Haim wasn't in it. The Lost Boys, I absolutely loved that movie.
Oh, yeah.
There were a couple of really good ones that, and even, okay, so like you mentioned Full House. When I was 21 is when Full House was kind of bigger, or maybe it came out in the 90s or whatever.
Yeah.
They graduated, I think DJ Tanner graduated in 95. Well, that was the year my daughter was born.
Yeah.
And so I got to rewatch that over and over again because she was into it, and now they've got Fuller House.
Which I've watched every episode.
I don't know.
I've watched every episode of Fuller House, and I love it. It's cheesy. Don't get me wrong. It's cheesy.
It is.
But I love it so very much. I love it so very much. Oh my gosh.
I love the little quips they make about, it's the weirdest thing. Most of our problems were always solved within a half an hour. Or when they make clips about Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen, they say, about them being, clothing designers or whatever. I just think it's so funny how they take reality out. They make little hits of reality towards it.
I agree.
What about you? Movies,
I was and still am, because I will watch these movies over and over till the day that I die, I was a John Hughes movie fan, which is 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, Say Anything, all those movies. 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, I know them word for word. I can tell you, I've seen them so many times. Pretty in Pink. Those movies are just iconic to me, and watching them with certain friends, watching them, some with you, some with other friends that I grew up with too, just those were just so, Goonies, all those movies are just,
yep.
Those are classics, and I will stop what I'm doing to watch them if I ever flipping through channels and it's on TV. Or that's how it used to be when I had cable, but I don't have that anymore. But anyway, those are iconic movies to me.
I'm the same way. Those movies are my absolute favorites. Pretty in Pink, and those ones that you mentioned, Pretty in Pink and 16 Candles, and all of those. Those were great. The Breakfast Club, I love that movie.
Oh,
Risky
that movie
Business,
is so...
even though that's not the same premise, but
no, but it's the same era. Which Risky Business. Top Gun.
Yes.
I mean, I could watch Top Gun. I mean, let's talk for a minute about the volleyball scene. Let's just talk about that for a second.
Oh my. Mm-hmm.
There is not...
What's there to talk about? You can have it on mute and love that scene.
You don't really have to, have the sound on for that movie, but those are just... I can't, and I could talk about movies and movies that I've seen and all of that for hours and hours and hours, but there's movies that... Okay, so I know that there's a difference between you and I. I am not a very big, unless it's a John Hughes movie, I'm not a very big romantic love story type of movie. I like romantic comedies. I can do romantic comedies, but I can't do... So, two movies that came to my head that I know are probably two of your favorite movies, and they're two movies that everybody loves, and I hate them. I've seen them once.
Okay, wait, before you say...
do not want to watch them again. Go ahead.
Before you say what they are, let me see if I can guess.
Okay.
One of them's got to be The Notebook. It's got to be The Notebook.
Yep.
I knew it. One of them's got to be The Notebook. Oh my gosh, that movie is that... I love that movie.
Everybody loves that movie. Ugh.
I'm not sure. I see, but I love Ryan Gosling and I love Rachel McAdams.
I don't have anything against the actor and the actress in the movie. I just don't like the sappiness of the movie. It's stupid.
Oh my gosh, that movie is... That movie, I see that movie and oh, my heart just melts. I just love the way... I love it. And I knew you were going to say you hated it. I knew as soon as we started talking about this, I knew one of them would be The Notebook. Yep. The other one is either going to be Titanic or A Walk to Remember. And it's got to be Titanic.
It's Titanic.
I hate Titanic. I knew it. I knew you were going to say it. I love Titanic too. And you know what? There's more so than that. Than just it being such a sappy love story. There's a lot. When I went on the New Kids Cruise with Janelle, we had a moment with the whole Rose and Jack thing from Titanic. So it holds a different meaning like that. I actually do love the story. And I love the romance, and I love the whole... I'm a very big romantic person, so naturally, that show is going to be a big deal for me. But the funny part of that show is the whole Rose and Jack and not sharing the door. And that's kind of an inside joke with Janelle and I. Yeah. So it even holds more meaning because, Janelle, I don't get to see Janelle. And I really miss her, and that was it was a lot of fun when we talked about that on the cruise, so... But I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, okay, and for the record, I do love the movie A Walk to Remember. I do like that movie, and I have watched it several times. So I do like that movie, but that's not...
Oh, good.
That's not as sappy and as gushy and gross as The Notebook. It's a nice, sweet love story, and I'm okay with that. Let me tell you what I don't like about Titanic. I like the history behind the Titanic. I liked seeing that part of that movie. But the relationship between Jack and Rose. Number one, Leonardo DiCaprio, wonderful actor. I love everything that he does. but he looked like he was 25 years younger than Kate Winslet. So it was like an incest love story to me. Like, it was
wow, that went deep. Wow.
Well, he looks... Either he was too young looking for that part, or she was too old looking for her part. I like both of them as actors. I think that they did great job, but I don't think that they looked the right age. Like, they either needed to replace Leonardo DiCaprio with somebody a little bit older looking, or they needed to make it with somebody that looked a little bit younger than Kate Winslet. Because Kate Winslet looks a little bit older and more distinguished than what she really is. Not older as in wrinkly older, but just more... It's kind of like Adele. Like, Adele is 20 years younger than us. She's only 20... What was the name of her last album? 25? 26, something like that. She's only in her late 20s, but she looks like she's older than that because she's more distinguished looking. She just looks older than she is. So that was my issue with Titanic. That just threw me off. I'm like, it looks like she's having this love affair with her son, and it's creepy. And I don't like it.
Oh, I didn't feel that way at all. So I really love that movie.
Maybe it's just my warped sense of thought process. I don't know, but... Yeah, no, those are two of my least favorite movies ever. I don't like either one of them. And I've only seen them once, and I don't plan on seeing them again. So. Okay,
so A Walk to Remember. Mm-hmm. That movie, I'm not, you know me, I'm not an overly spiritual, I'm not an overly religious person.
Neither am I.
Have my own beliefs, whatever, blah, 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 blah. That's a whole nother podcast. But that movie touched me on a level far beyond I don't even know how to describe it, but that movie I can watch over and over and over again. I thought that Mandy Moore and Shane West played those parts so well.
Yep.
They truly touched my heart. I mean, it was in a way that every girl wants that kind of love. Wants the kind of love where a guy will take her to, show her how to be in two places at once and show her how to just love her like that. That movie touched my... the very first time I saw that movie, I saw it, then I went out, and I think when I saw it, I rented it. That's when Blockbuster was still a thing. We rented it. I watched it. Then I went and bought it, and then I called a friend of mine, and all of their friends, we had there was 4 of us, and we all came over to my house, and we all sat down and watched it with our husbands, and me and this friend, we sobbed. I watched this movie, and I cried my eyes out, and then I watched it again, and I cried my eyes out, and I think I've seen that movie 150 times. Yeah. I loved it that much, and it was because it touched me deeply. I really had a strong sense with that movie. I loved it.
So you could say that movie, no matter how many times you watch it, will make you cry every single time because you know what's going to happen.
Every single time.
But you'll cry every time.
Yep.
Okay, so I had down on my list too that there's one movie. I mean, there's several movies that make me cry, and I'll cry at them every time. But there's one that no matter what I'm doing, there is one moment in this movie that brings me to absolute ugly cry, blubbering, everything. And it's going to sound like a strange movie because it's not a love story. I mean, it is kind of, sort of, in a way, but it's also an action movie, and that's Armageddon. With Ben Affleck.
Yes.
There is a part in there between Bruce Willis and Liv Tyler because they're father and daughter, and she has to say goodbye to him, and I don't even watch that movie because I know that moment is going to come up, and I cry every single time because it's a father-daughter moment, and those will get me every single time. I think it's, through my teenage years, I lived with my dad, and I was close to my dad during my teenage years, and any father-daughter moment in anything will make me tear up or cry like a baby every single time. So that's the movie that I will cry every single time, and I know when it's coming. I know that, and I'm like, I'm not going to cry this time. No, that's just a stupid thought because I'm going to cry no matter what. So that would be my movie.
Yes, I love that movie too. That was another one that was very, very good. And I love the part in that movie when Bruce Willis takes Ben Affleck's character draws the short straw and takes him down. And at the very last minute, he pulls the hose and they have this conversation. Oh, that part gets me every time too. I love that movie as well.
Yeah,
that's another one that definitely. But I know the part you're talking about, and I can see why it would really, really hit you just right in the feels every time. They did a great job with that movie.
And so, okay.
So what other? So tell me. Go ahead. You go.
I have 2 questions for you, and they're concerning movies. But these are movies that, well, the first one is a movie that reminds me of you because we watched this movie so many times at your house, at my house, and I want to know if you can remember what that movie is without me giving you any hints. Do you remember what that movie
Science.
was? No.
Weird
we
Science?
never watched Weird Science together.
Okay, a movie that you Stand By Me is one of them.
Well,
but that's not the one you're.
No, because that's more of me and Faith. That's that movie I watched more with Faith than you. I did watch it with you, but that was more me and Faith. No, this one we watched. Oh shit! I forgot about Beaches. That movie makes me cry too. Damn it.
Yeah.
But that's not the movie I was thinking of. This one is more of a comedy. I'm gonna have to give you hints now, but you're gonna kick yourself when you realize what it is. We knew every line to this movie. It had a famous 80s pop icon in it. Female.
Is it Girls Just Want to Have Fun, or
no?
It's the other one that's.
You're gonna kick. You are gonna be. No, not Cyndi Lauper. You're gonna hate yourself that you don't remember this movie. Yes, Madonna.
Hey Loud and Guess What? That one, right?
Yes.
Hey Loud and Guess What?
Tricks.
Olive Juice. Yeah, Tricks. Oh gosh, what was that one called? That one was called I Can See It. Loudon, he was getting married to the girl with the red hair, and he was supposed to pick the girl. He was supposed to pick Madonna up. What's it called?
Who's that girl?
I can't. No, didn't tell me. No. Oh yes. Damn. Yes, who's that girl? We watched that so many times. We watched that
so many times, and we knew it line for line. Line for line.
You're right. I can't believe I didn't say that.
Yeah.
But when I think of like you and I know that we've seen so many shows and you know, we've watched so many movies, but the ones that do stand out for me are like the Stand By Me's remind me of you, and Beaches, and those movies remind me of you, even though they weren't shows that, they were just shows that were during our time when we were growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wish that I would have thought of that. Who's that girl?
Yep.
Wow. Hey Loud and Guess What? Tricks. And Olive Juice. I love you, Nikki Finn. Nikki Finn. That was her name.
Nikki Finn. That was her name. Yep. That was, and it's a cheesy ass movie. It is a cheesy ass movie. It is. But it was, man, I don't even know how many, we probably wore out the VHS tape on that movie because that was, we watched that movie a lot. Okay, so another question I have, and this isn't really a movie that we watched all the time per se, but there is something that we talk about a lot with this movie. What was the movie that I was standing in line with my mom to see, and you walked out after seeing this movie and ruined the ending?
Oh, I can't remember the name of it, but Roxanne.
Yes.
That's what it was, Roxanne.
Yep.
It was the one where, yes, I remember that. And you know what? It was the one, I remember too, you were standing in line and for whatever reason you had I remember this was in 7th grade because we weren't best friends yet. We had just met, within the last, I don't know, month or so. So we were in that weird, awkward, let's be friends, let's not be friends stage.
Yeah.
And I remember you had cut your hair super short. That was when you got that boy cut. And I remember that day. Yeah. I remember that day when I ran into you that day and I was telling you, I remember thinking, I really don't like her hair.
I didn't like my hair then either.
No, but yes, Roxanne. And I remember as I was telling you, don't tell her the end, and I told you the end.
Yep, that's the classic.
The story of my life.
Yeah, that's the classic Chris open mouth insert foot moment. That's what you're famous for.
I can't even imagine what your conversation was like after I walked away. Like
I couldn't tell you what it was. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure my mom wasn't very happy with you.
No, and I know that your mom... Well, for a long time, your mom didn't like me anyway. I don't think that she liked me until... Probably in the last 20 years she started liking me, but she didn't like me all through school and stuff.
My parents didn't like any of my friends that I had. They didn't like anybody. Not that I can remember.
Oh,
and the ones that they probably liked were the ones that were the troublemakers that got me in trouble, but they liked those, but they didn't like you or Jennifer or Faith because they thought you guys were troublemakers, but in reality, I was the one that always got you guys in trouble. Well, except for Faith. Yeah. She was a troublemaker. She still kind of is a troublemaker. But yeah.
She still kind of is a troublemaker.
She got me into some trouble this past, weekend that we were together. And yeah, she gave me too much fireball. But anyway, that's another podcast.
I can't wait to hear all about it. Okay, so then tell me some of the, tell me some of the spooky movies that, you liked or didn't like.
Okay, so I don't like scary movies right now. I cannot sit down and watch a scary movie. I don't like them. My kids are always wanting me to watch scary movies. And the funny thing is when I was younger, and Faith and I would watch scary movies. I watched scary movies with her all the time. We watched Hellraiser, Nightmare on Elm Street, any of the other ones that were popular back then, which were really not all that scary. Halloween. If you go back and look. Yeah, Halloween. When you go look and...
No, they were all just jump out scary movies.
But I was a big horror movie fan back then. And then I got pregnant with Nathan. And all of a sudden, I just did not want to watch scary movies anymore. And I don't know if that's like a motherly instinct type of thing. But ever since then, I don't like scary movies. I just don't like them. I don't mind thrillers. I don't mind suspenseful movies. But I don't want to see guts and gore. And I certainly don't want anybody jumping out at me either because I fucking hate that shit. I don't like that. I mean, I jump at the smallest little things. And if it's a movie, and even if I know what's going to happen, I'm still going to jump 15 feet out of my chair. And I just don't like that feeling. So, I don't watch scary movies. I don't watch them anymore.
I don't necessarily like watching scary movies either. If we have a movie night and they want to watch a scary movie, then I'll sit next to one of my kids with a blanket and I'll cover my face. Because I don't like the whole jumping out thing.
No,
just don't jump out and scare me.
No.
But the one that I remember when I was a kid is we watched all the Jason movies, all the Friday the 13th. The one that yeah, and the Nightmare on Elm Street. The one that got me the most, the one that I actually had nightmares about, was the Puppet Master one, where they were all in the psych ward, and there was one part of the show where it cut the veins open, and Freddy was, or not, was it Freddy Krueger? He was walking them with the veins as the Puppet Master. Oh, I had nightmares about that. It was awful.
Lovely.
But let's see. Yeah, I would think that, like, I don't know. Some of the newer movies that I like are like the Twilights, and I'm a big fan of Twilight. My oldest daughter and I know this is going to sound bad. You're going to think that like I'm winning for the worst mom award, but her and I, we both read the book on 50 Shades of Grey, and we've seen the first two movies. We still have to watch the third one, but that was kind of our thing. We'd watch those together. We watched all the Twilights together. So, Alyssa, if you're listening, I really would love to see that with the third one with you, but you live in Illinois now, so...
Yeah, so...
Anyway.
Thanks for that. I did watch all of the Twilight movies. I did read all of the books except for the second half of Breaking Dawn, the last one, because I just couldn't take it anymore. But I did watch all the movies. I absolutely hate the girl who played Bella in all the movies. And nobody will ever change my mind. I don't like her. Right. I don't think she's a good actress. I think she looked like she wanted to throw up through all of the movies. I don't think it was a good... I think that the one who played the sister, the one that's in Pitch Perfect, why can I not think of her name?
The sister?
Yeah, Edward's sister. The one that could see things. Oh, what is her name?
Alice?
Alice
was... Okay, but she played in Pitch Perfect?
Yes, she's the actress... Wasn't she? Isn't
no,
that
the
who
actress
it was?
that played in... No, the actress that played in Pitch Perfect was Bella's friend. She was Bella's friend at the school. Becky or Becca or something like that.
Why can't I remember her name?
I can't. I don't...
Anyway, in any case, one of the girls that played a different character in that movie should have played Bella. And I would have to look it up and tell you which one it was. But what's the name of the girl who plays Bella in the Twilight movies? Kristen
Stewart.
Hate her. I'll say it every time. I don't like her. I don't know why people keep giving her jobs. The only thing she can act, the only time she was good in those movies, it was in Breaking Dawn when she was dying. Because she's really good at playing dying because she always looks like she's dying or throwing up.
Yeah,
so
right?
I didn't... my favorite Twilight movie...
I wasn't a fan of her.
Yeah. My favorite Twilight movie out of the whole series was New Moon. And the reason I like New Moon the most is because it was more geared towards Jacob. And I was Team Jacob all the way. I mean, come on. It's Taylor Lautner. Let's get real here.
As my daughter said, Taylor Hotner. His name should be Taylor Hotner because he's hot.
For sure. Oh, I could agree with that.
Caitlin said that.
Yeah, I didn't... And so, 50 Shades of Grey, I read the first book. I started reading this... all of them are horrible. I started reading the second book, and I was like, I can't do this anymore. The author uses the same bucket of words over and over again. I'm like, I'm so tired of seeing these same words over and over again.
I totally agree with you. The movies were better. The movies were better than the book, in my opinion.
I haven't seen any of the movies, and I don't really want to.
No, the movies were better in the book, but based on the way that the books were written, I thought that there was no way they could turn them into movies without making it a porno.
I know, that's what I thought
too. But the movies were okay. I mean, they weren't 100% over the top great. I think they could have used different actors, but whatever. I wasn't unhappy with them. So anyway, to whatever we should. I don't know. We should.
Let me ask you one other question. Have you watched? I just want to talk about this one more thing, and then we can start wrapping up. But have you watched any episodes of the current show, This Is Us?
Oh my gosh, I love that show.
Okay.
That and The Walking Dead are my favorite shows right now. Those are the ones that I will drop everything to watch.
Okay.
And This Is Us is my favorite.
I've never seen an episode of The Walking Dead, not one, but that's probably another conversation. I've never seen an episode of The Walking Dead, and I've never seen an episode of Game of Thrones. I'm one of those people.
I've seen one of Game of Thrones, but go ahead. What about This Is Us?
So This Is Us. I've watched every episode. How many times have you cried during an episode of This Is Us?
I've cried a couple of times, but the one that I thought I would cry the most at would be the one, you've said you've seen them all, right? So
yes.
what happened to Jack.
Yeah, I've seen them all.
I did not cry. I didn't cry once during that episode. And I would have thought I would, but I don't have ovaries anymore, so I don't cry near as much as I used to.
Blame it on the ovaries.
But I have cried. Hey, I am a penis away from being a man now, thank you very much. I don't have emotions like I used to. But I know a lot of people who have cried, and it was bad, and they just horrible. Anyway, where were you going with that?
So here's my point. Everybody that I know who has watched the show says that they just cry and cry and cry. Okay, I must have like the blackest heart in the entire world, because I have cried one time through both seasons of this show. And I don't even remember what episode. Now, don't get me wrong, I've teared up a couple times on certain parts. Right. But I have not full-on ugly cried nothing in this show. And I didn't cry when Jack died either. I thought I would, because I was expecting it to be like this whole...
yeah.
I didn't cry. I was like, all right, that sucks. But yeah. I think I teared up more. Okay, so I love the show, but my favorite characters are, I absolutely love Toby. Toby is my favorite character on that show. The relationship between Toby and
Kate.
Kate, thank you. I almost said Kristen, and I knew that wasn't right. I love that relationship. I love Randall's character and his relationship with his wife. I cannot stand Kevin. I don't know why, but I don't like that character. But I love Mandy Moore. And I love the guy who plays Jack. I can't remember his name. It's some long Italian name.
Milo.
Because I loved him in Gilmore Girls, because I've binge watched Gilmore Girls several times. But I just don't cry during that show. And I don't know why. But anyway, I just wanted to bring that because I wanted to know if we were the same on that. So I'm glad to know that my best friend in the entire world has not cried as much as I didn't either, so that's good to know. It makes me feel a little bit better.
I really do. I absolutely love the show. I like the way they put it together. I love the twist they put on it at the ending of every single episode. And I'm inclined to agree with you about Kevin. I do like him. I think he's a good brother. I think he's a good uncle, but he really is whiny. And in my own personal opinion, it's like he's poor me all the time. And
all the time.
You poor thing. You've got everything that a lot of people in the world would want. You need to suck it up and be a man. The way he's acting, and it's been like this since even when he was a little, in their portrayal of him even as a little kid, he just is whiny. I mean, he's very handsome, but he's kind of a wimpy. I don't know. There's something about his character I don't love.
Yeah.
But I love Kate and I love Toby. I think I love that show. I love Kate and Toby, and I love Jack and Rebecca as a couple too. They're great.
I just didn't I loved the way that they were doing the show, and I loved the going back and forth between now and back then, and I like that. But what kind of turned me off of it a little bit was when Kevin started getting into drugs and alcohol, like started abusing that. And I was like, here we go. This is just like every other show out there now. You've brought this storyline in now that I'm kind of like, seen it, been there, done that. I'm ready to move on now. Like that just kind of, it just kind of threw me off. Like I understand that, I understand that it's part of his character and, you know, he went through that before and all of that. I get that, but I just was like, oh, not this again. I'm so tired of hearing about, you know, just addiction. And I know it's a huge thing, but I don't know. It just was a turnoff for me. Anyway.
So, I'm hoping though that I'm hoping that what they do with that now is turn it around and make him come out of it and you know, like better than ever and change his character around a little bit. I'm really hoping that. Mm-hmm. But you're right, it is, I mean, it's a classic story and that's kind of sad. Yeah. Okay, anyway, moving on. So, are we gonna do the same thing we've done the last couple of times and pick the, you know, a question for each other?
Yeah, I think before we do that, we'll end on that. But before we do that, real quick, just our normal, you know, go to iTunes, subscribe, give us a rating, do the same thing on Podbean, anywhere that you listen to us, whatever platform or app or whatever you listen to us on. Please go and subscribe to us and rate us and comment, and because that helps us a lot, gets our name out there, it makes our podcast more successful. So if you could just take a second to do that. We have a Facebook page, we have Twitter, we've got Instagram. It's all Spiked Coffee and Sarcasm. We have an email address now where you can email us any suggestions, comments, stories about anything we've talked about or that you want us to share in one of our episodes, and it's spikedcoffeeandsarcasm@gmail.com. So we want to start doing mini-sodes, and we want those to be your stories. So email us and let us know
anything. Your ideas,
a story about anything we've talked about on any episode, something you want us to talk about on a future episode. Shoot us an email. Let us know what you're thinking, and, you know, constructive criticism. Tell us what you don't like. What do you want us to change? What you would like to see us do? Anything. We're here to learn and we want to be better. And so let us know what you guys are thinking. We're curious to know.
And our biggest thing too is being relatable. We would love to be able to be relatable to things that you're going through. So Absolutely. Just please, any funny stories, anything that you have that you want to share with us, let us know. We'll be happy to hear it. Again, our email is spikecoffeeandsarcasm@gmail.com.
Yes. Do you remember, now that I think about it, is it Spike Coffee? Did I put the word and sarcasm in there? I'm pretty sure I did,
yes,
right?
You did.
Okay.
Yep. Spike Coffee and Sarcasm.
Okay. Because I wrote it down, but I wrote it down, but I used the little ampersand, and I was like, oh, wait, which one did I do when I made the email? Anyway. Okay. So next episode, we're going to just kind of babble on and talk about our kids and our lives, so you guys can get to know us a little bit better and who we are and what our lives are like on a daily basis. And I just want to make one little quick shout out to my sister Kalei, who's been putting the music on our podcast every week. She comes in and puts it on there for us, and she needs to teach me how to do it, but I just want to give her out there. I love you, sister, and thank you. So now go with your best friend question. What do you want me to, what do I need to know, or what should I know?
Okay, here's my question. My question for you about me, have I ever been out of the country?
Wow. My first instinct is to say no, but I have a feeling that's not right. Let me think for a second. Do.
Yep, cue Jeopardy music.
Well, I don't know. Does Mexico count? Have you ever been to Mexico?
Well, Mexico is not part of the United States, so yes, that counts.
Okay.
And Canada's not part of the United States, so that counts too.
Oh, well, yeah, you've been to Canada, duh. You've been to Canada because you saw a New Kids show in Canada. So yes, you have been out of the country.
Yes, but I've also been to Mexico. That's where I went on my honeymoon.
Oh, that's right. Duh.
Mm-hmm. And I crossed over, I lied. But I did go to the U.S. Virgin Islands, and I don't know if that means that I crossed over international waters, but I don't think so. Did I just totally blown myself out right now?
You know what? I don't know, because I've been to those same islands, so I don't know if...
I did get a passport just in case I needed one, so I do have a passport, but I've only... And, you know, considering I only live 6 miles south of the Canadian border and only been there... I've been there twice, but the first time was in 1986 with my dad on a family vacation. It was...
See, I knew that's why my gut was like, no.
My dad and my stepmom and my sister, we drove a little tiny car we flew from Phoenix to California, and then we drove from California all the way through a bunch of states and up into Vancouver Island to see the Expo 86. Don't ever do that to your kids. That's a terrible thing to do to your kids.
Oh,
just, we were like, what was I, 11? So what? No, I was 13 and she was 9 or 10 or whatever. Driving across the country. It's honey. Terrible. That's wrong.
Oh, yeah, I know what that feels like. I went on it was only a 13-hour drive, but it was me, my brother, my 2 stepsisters, my stepbrother, my mom, and my stepdad, all in a minivan, drove 13 hours to Washington, D.C. No.
Oh.
No.
No.
No. Nope.
Okay, so what's your question?
Okay. So my question to you is, it's not really something that you would know, but I'm curious to know what you would pick, if that makes any sense. If I had a theme song, what would it be? So it's not really something you would know. It's just something... The look on your face was classic.
Well, now, come on. It depends on what your mood is.
It depends on which personality you want to tackle.
Exactly. That's okay. So there is several. I mean, if you're feeling... Shit, I don't know.
You have to pick a song.
Pick a song. I would say if you're feeling cynical, here's a song that I would pick for you if you're feeling like How Many Fucks You Give.
Which is basically every day.
She Fucking Hates Me by Puddle of Mud. But only because...
Good song.
That's a good song because it's like you being the person who hates the guy, just she fucking hates me only because no fucks given. I just don't care. Blah, 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 blah. Just whatever you say.
Yep.
So, what do you think your song would be?
Dude, don't turn my question back on me. I don't fucking know.
See? I knew you wouldn't have a song picked out for you.
No.
That's a good question. I would like,
It would probably be some kind of I'm an independent woman, I don't need you, blah, blah, blah type thing. Because that's kind of where I'm at in my life right now. Where men just, I just don't want that right now. Anyway, we've talked about that. We'll go on by that. But it is time for us to say goodbye. It's time for us to say so long. So next week, again, we're going to talk about kids and lives. You guys will get to know us a little bit better. That'll be fun.
That'll be fun. Lucky you guys.
Yeah, lucky you guys. So stay tuned for that fun. All right. Well, I hope you guys are enjoying this, and we'll see you or hear you, or you'll be listening to us.
Talk to you later.
Yeah, talk to you later. There you go.
We'll talk later. There you go.
We'll talk later. All right. See you guys.
Bye.